Hello, everyone, and welcome to the annual general meeting for Stella's Circle. We're so thankful you could take the time to join us today. I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. Stella's Circle respectfully acknowledges the land on which its participants, staff, volunteers, and supporters gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose culture has now been lost forever. We acknowledge the island of Newfoundland as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq, and we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu of Nitassinan and the Inuit of Nunatuavut and Nunatsiavut. We recognize all First Peoples who are here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all and to make our services more accessible to Indigenous peoples in the communities we serve. So before we get started, I've got a couple administrative items to go over. First, as there's quite a few people on the call, we'll be turning off microphones and cameras for those not speaking to avoid distraction. So I'd ask all folks on Zoom to do that now, please. And unfortunately, we've had a last-minute cancellation of ASL interpretation services today. So we encourage those on the Zoom call who need it to enable closed captioning at the bottom of their screen. To increase accessibility of our AGM, we will have a full recording with accompanying ASL available at a later date. As well, there will also be opportunities for audience members to ask questions at the end of our call. And at that time, Justin, our marketing manager, will let you know how to do so. So our AGM gives us an opportunity to provide an overview of our year, hopefully educating not only on the milestones we've reached, but also the day-to-day work that happens across our organization. And I'm Laura, the newish CEO at Stella's Circle. And as this is our first AGM where I've been in the role, I can really say that one personal reflection of my brief time here has been the inspiration from the wonderful people who make up the Stella's Circle team. Our achievements only happen because of our employees. So today we're going to take time to learn more about their work and the many ways that staff impact the lives of community members. We'll also showcase employees in our annual report, which is available on our website. As you may know, the mandate of Stella's Circle is based on 3 pillars of service to community members. Real homes, finding immediate and sustainable housing for participants. Real help, providing the counseling and community support necessary to overcome systemic barriers. And real work, educating and enabling participants on how to find and hold employment that works for them. And so to start the review of our operating year, which ran from April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, we'll provide a brief overview of each pillar, the services provided, and some shared progress and observations from the year. So we'll start with the Real Homes pillar. We firmly believe at Stella's Circle that housing is a human right. And by that, we mean everyone has the right to safe and affordable housing. Unfortunately, that is not accessible to everybody. And so presenting on this pillar and the work around increasing access to housing is Gail Thornhill, Director of Housing for Stella's Circle. Over to you, Gail.
Thank you, Laura, and hi, everyone. It's so nice to be coming to you live today, even in this format. As Laura mentioned, my name is Gail. In my role as Director of Housing, I oversee a number of programs that really show the organization's dedication to providing short and long-term housing solutions. When we think about our pillar name, Real Homes, what we are really aiming to provide are solutions to the many challenges and barriers that prevent people from having safe, stable, and affordable housing. What that means for each individual may be very different. For some folks, it's affordability. For others, it could be that the house they live in is unsafe for any number of reasons. We sometimes work with individuals with addictions and mental health challenges that impact their ability to maintain a home. And for most participants, there's a combination of many factors. Close to 30 employees work in our housing area of the organization. And our goal is to find out what those barriers and challenges are and work with each individual to provide real-time solutions for the now and the later. The Brian Martin Housing Resource Center offers a range of supports and services, all aimed at ending homelessness and enhancing long-term housing stability. We focused our work on supporting individuals who have experienced the greatest barriers to finding and maintaining housing. Our work includes homelessness prevention, rapid rehousing, case management, as well as a range of long-term affordable housing solutions. Individual services might include client advocacy, referrals, computer and telephone access, and housing search assistance for those who need it. Stella Circle offers long-term affordable housing through its own 79 units, as well as partnerships with private landlords, community, and government partners. The staff team at Brian Martin have helped 360 participants with housing-related issues and inquiries in the past year. So what do we do here? I'll start answering that question by doing a quick introduction of one of our employees. As a housing support worker, Albert Jacobs works closely with individuals to help find and maintain their housing. His work can include advocating and liaising with government and community agencies, landlords, and other Stella Circle services. Albert works closely with the other housing staff to facilitate the housing stability plan, providing a range of supports to participants, all aimed at homelessness prevention. In addition to operating our own housing, we work closely with private landlords and other housing providers. We are grateful for our partnerships. The demand and need for housing that is safe and affordable is high. In the past year, staff facilitated over 1,300 housing placement interventions and over 2,000 housing retention interventions. These activities can include anything from viewing an apartment, paying a bill, buying groceries, or teaching someone to clean their unit. Our work resulted in assisting 107 people getting housing last year. Way to go, team. Now let's move on to Naomi Center. Naomi Center is our women's only homeless shelter for women aged 16 to 30. Naomi Center utilizes a harm reduction approach, meeting young women where they are. Those who stay at the 8-bed facility are offered counseling and support for a wide range of issues. Our work there is person-centered as well as housing-focused. There are 17 employees at Naomi, and one of those is Jennifer Breen, who I'm happy to introduce you to here. Jennifer is a 15-year veteran of Stella Circle and is a residential counselor. Jennifer and the team at Naomi help residents find permanent housing, connect them to community resources, and provide counseling from a trauma-informed lens. Staff build relationships with the young women and work with them where they are in their journey, providing supports and services that match their needs. This past year, Naomi Center completed 83 admissions to the shelter. 52 of those admissions were new individuals, while the remainder were residents who had availed of the services before. Former residents of Naomi Center continue to access services. 2,360 contacts were recorded with former residents last year, and 421 meals provided. One general housing observation I would share from the past year is certainly wouldn't be a surprise to many of you who are listening or watching later. Housing has become increasingly harder to find. The rental market has become more competitive than ever, and in turn, the housing that is available has become more expensive, and landlords have become choosier about their tenants. Oftentimes, we experience the stigma that can be attached to those we work with. Many are receiving a low income or are on social assistance. It can be very challenging to find something that doesn't require most of your money to pay for rent costs, leaving no money for food or other necessities. This also means our staff have had to work harder to obtain and retain housing. This, of course, is a great concern, but we will continue to look for ways to strengthen and increase our housing stock, work with our government and community partners to increase capacity and support, strengthen landlord relations, and explore ways to be creative and innovative, because that's the work that we do.
Thank you so much, Gail. That was a wonderful overview, both of the services provided and some of the staff who are doing that important work. And you'll see that throughout this report. We really wanted to take the opportunity to highlight the people behind the work at Stella's Circle. Gail's report really highlights the need for individual support and advocacy to create real housing change for people. And as Gail alluded to, people who require housing may also need help addressing various barriers. Some of those barriers are individual, but more often than not, we know they're related to systemic barriers and the need for larger systemic change. Staff across our programs offer help in navigating those systems, as well as individual support related to things like mental health and addictions. This brings us to the Real Help pillar, and I'd like to ask Denise Hillier, Director of Clinical Services, to provide an overview of the work that happens there.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome to everybody who's joining in today or later. So I am Denise Hillier, and my role in this organization, I've been here for 20 years, is to oversee Stella's Circle's counseling and supportive programming. And while supportive programs are certainly offered across our organization, there are some unique services offered in under the Real Help pillar. So, and I'll tell you about 3 of the programs that we provide services in here and highlight some of our staff. So the first, and perhaps likely the most well-known, is Emmanuel House, and pictured here. And alongside of that is a picture of our founder, Stella Burry. Emmanuel House is a residential treatment program, which means that participants live there in the house. They have the opportunity to learn life skills, and they're offered both individual and group counseling while they're there. The idea is that people can better heal and learn when they do so in a supportive living environment. And people who come to Emmanuel House typically may be dealing with mental health issues, it may be addiction, maybe trauma, and sometimes it may be justice histories. When they get to the house, they're supported by 8 full-time, as well as many relief and part-time staff who offer counseling and support one-on-one as well as in group settings. So there were 36 individuals who lived at Emmanuel House throughout last year. And while our live-in capacity is not yet at the pre-pandemic levels there, the amount of extra work and consideration that is still required due to COVID-19 is quite high. Emmanuel House also provides support to many former residents who participated in the program over the years of operation. A total of 551 calls were made between staff and former residents last year, and an additional 440 phone conversations took place between staff at the house and participants in other Stella Circle programs who were in need of support. And as I've mentioned, we're a 24-hour facility, and many of these calls get made after 8 at night, between 8 at night and 4 in the morning. So one of the staff person that we'd like to highlight here is Denise Evans at Emmanuel House. And Denise has been with us 7 years, working in the administrative support role, along with many of the other responsibilities that would arise in the run of a day for her in that position. So one thing that people don't always consider is that when you think about our programs, the broad array of services that we have really requires some strong administrative support. And that covers everything from scheduling, liaison with partners, intake, referrals, general maintenance, paying bills, and so on. And Denise is one of those necessary background players who takes care of all things that help support staff and enable them to really focus on our participants. So our admin staff are really the backbone of Stella Circle, and we couldn't operate without them. From Emmanuel House, we move on to the Community Support Program, or our shortened term of CSP. Employees of CSP include case manager Michael Phillips, who you see here, and one of our community mental health workers, Tina Gray. And they provide intensive assistance to the individuals who have complex mental health issues participating in that program. The individualized kinds of supports that they provide include delivering medications, plan recreational activities. It might be teaching basic life skills, advocacy, liaison with medical professionals, and crisis prevention, among many other things. They also, in their work, support additional work within what we call expressive therapies, and that might include such offerings as equine therapy or art therapy within the program. There are over 20 full and part-time staff at CSP, and last year they offered support to more than 55 participants, probably the highest number of participants that CSP has actually ever had. We do strive to increase capacity where we can, as we recognize the needs and complexities in our community have increased. Our wait list for that program is now more than 60 individuals. The intensity of the work is evident in the nearly 1,400 phone calls that occurred between staff and participants during the past year. Finally, there's the Just Us Women's Center, exclusively designed for women and non-binary individuals who've come into conflict with the justice system in this province, either current or previous involvement. Like other counseling services, staff are providing therapeutic support through both individual and group work. Addictions, mental health, trauma, all part of the programming offered, as well as grief and loss groups and other issues that might be identified by those who participate in our program. The Just Us staff also visit the Newfoundland and Labrador Correctional Centre for Women in Clarenville 2 to 3 days every week to provide support to those who are incarcerated there. In addition, that support is offered post-release and to those with corrections histories throughout our community and in the province. A toll-free number enables staff to provide provincial scope. One long-standing staff member, pictured here, is Amy Shepherd, a social worker at Just Us. Amy has been with our program 13 years, and along with the counseling supports that were previously mentioned, Amy advocates for our participants and works with them so that they are able to advocate for themselves. Amy seeks new opportunities for programming and helped to research and develop our first grief and loss group here at the Just Us Women's Center. She's in the office right next door to me, and it's great to have staff like her to help brainstorm ideas about what people in our community need, as well as what people in prison need, and to have meaningful conversations about the services that we provide. Staff at Just Us see an average of 90 women every month and between 160 to 200 women every year. One thing I'll echo from Gail's comments earlier is the idea of capacity versus need. We're always finding new ways to increase our capacity with existing resources, and that comes from the needs that our participants and staff help identify. We know the need is growing. CSP, for instance, has increased its capacity by 15% in a year. Despite the increase, our waiting list is longer than ever. We are incredibly proud of our staff who continue to innovate and adapt, and are hopeful for a future where our capacity can continue to increase with the support of our skilled staff, our community, and our government partners. One thing about this line of work is that every program truly does lean into each other. We support, advise, we problem solve, we communicate, we listen, and we find ways to lift each other up and to care for each other so that we can in turn do the same for our participants. The reason our operating years can be so effective is because of the innovative, hardworking teams that we are fortunate to have here in this organization.
Thank you, Denise. I just want to echo, I think, part of what is evident in what Denise and Gail have provided, and that's that Stella Circle's unique approach really is about supporting the whole person. And so while we do have teams that are doing specific work with specific populations, we know that the complexities that people experience in their lives really means that overlapping services are needed, and we're so fortunate to be able to provide those in community. This is also really true for our final pillar, real work. So our real work programs serve people who need help finding and keeping employment, and certainly stable employment and housing are often very intertwined, and both are much easier to maintain with the solid foundation of health and wellness. So the real work pillar will be presented by Rob McLennan, Director of Employment Services, and I'll pass it over to Rob.
Thanks, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone. And as Laura mentioned, my name is Rob, and I'll be talking about the employment and educational services at Stella Circle and the team that supports more than 500 people across the organization each year here at Cabot Street at our Employment Training Center and at the various social enterprise sites. So as part of the work of employment services, we have a team of staff who will meet with individuals to help them navigate finding and maintaining employment. This could involve resume building, writing, skills assessment, help with job search, guidance through the application and interview process, job matching, and various supports, both at Cabot Street and indeed out at people's various work sites. One such staff would be Gina Miller, who you see here. Gina has been with Stella Circle for 15 years, and quite often when people come to meet with Gina and to see us about employment counseling and support, what they're actually in search of is a path forward in life and a way to improve and reach goals that have previously eluded them on their way to gaining more independence. Gina would be helping participants with applications for jobs or income support, obtaining various certificates that will help with work, accessing the world of work, government services, financial literacy, transportation, and certainly regular check-ins and support in their work and school. This past year, Employment Services helped more than 82 people find employment or move on to different academic programs. Stella Circle also offers an adult basic education level 1 program in which individuals work towards achieving a grade 7 equivalency in their literacy and numeracy skills. ABE follows the academic year with learners in the classroom Monday to Friday, September through June. Time spent in the program can range from 3 months or to 2 years, depending on where an individual is starting with us. And with this important foundational step towards other vocational goals, that can include everything from improved reading skills to high school level completion. In addition to literacy, math, and general academic subjects, learners are exposed to a variety of alternative experiences and community engagement that are creative, interactive, and even therapeutic. These experiences may include the exploration and study of art, involvement in an approach using digital photography called Photo Voice, or exposure to plant science and horticulture. There were 15 students enrolled in our full-time ABE program this past academic year. The work being done by each individual full-time is significant, and I can say it is transformative as we provide a variety of classroom and other supports to assist learners in achieving their goals. Next, we'll move on to the social enterprise initiatives that I referred to earlier. We, of course, operate the very well-known Hungry Heart Cafe and catering, which is likely the most well-known of our initiatives. Hungry Heart is open 5 days a week for dine-in and also offers a catering service 6 days a week. The cafe is well-known and enjoyed for its tradition of great food and service that incorporates other social outcomes into everything it does, including employment and skills training, and even addressing food insecurity among participants in the community. Next, we have Clean Start, a commercial cleaning service offered to a variety of customers across the Northeast Avalon. Clean Start has seen significant growth over the last year related to an increase in demand based on its reputation for providing excellence in commercial cleaning, and also for disinfecting and related services associated with the pandemic and COVID-19. Home to Stay, where improvements are made to existing properties, is another initiative that we deliver, where we help people remain in community, living in their homes through modifications to their properties, and again, offer an opportunity for people to learn important employability skills associated with these carpentry tasks that go along with the renovations. Finally, we have our seasonal garden project, our garden box project, which sees participant employees build and service personal and commercial garden boxes utilizing local vegetable seed. In all cases, participants of Stella Circle are able to avail of employment opportunities, experiential on-the-job training where they may not have traditionally had the opportunity in the past. Any of our participants, for one reason or another, may have found it difficult to work or maintain employment, and these supported positions and training programs help them gain valuable employability skills in a supportive environment. Here now you see Isolde Nice Evans of the Hungry Heart, Cindy Murphy of Clean Start, and Dominic John with Employment Services and the Garden Box Initiative. All of these individuals work with participants to not only supply the product or service for a variety of customers, meeting a market need, but also to mentor and teach employees in order to help them gain and maintain employment. This year, across all social enterprises, 43 people were employed in supported positions, and 20 more transitioned specifically from Clean Start to the competitive job market. Of course, any surplus from all of our social enterprises are reinvested into additional programming. Finally, I just wanted to highlight Meals Squared, which is also operated or delivered from the Hungry Heart Cafe. Meals Squared is a program by which Stella Circle provides low-cost or no-cost meals to participants and community members. We do this by using the Hungry Heart equipment in commercial kitchen space, where the staff create meals which are then dispersed to people experiencing food security. Last year, more than 7,500 meals were made thanks to the Meals Squared program and the staff at the Hungry Heart and participants. The meals are nutritionally balanced, provided to people experiencing food insecurity, and they also, to underscore, create opportunities for training and skills development for participants in the cafe's food service and training program. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rob. That real work pillar and the work done by all the staff there completes the organization's holistic approach. And I think at Stella Circle, we really see a workplace as a form of participation and community. And as you can imagine, that is so intimately tied to housing and outcomes around better mental health for folks. So it's really a piece of this puzzle that we have around providing that holistic, person-centered support. So next, we want to take a moment to go over the property operations and administration functions of the organization, including our financials. So we'll begin with property and development, and we have Karen Knoll, who's the director of that.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome everybody. At Property and Development, we're in charge of the facilities and buildings of Stella Circle. This includes the purchase and redevelopment of new buildings, maintenance, cleaning, repairs and renovations, everything we need to make sure our tenants, participants, and staff are safe and comfortable. We currently have 20 buildings, which includes 79 units of housing and all of our office and participant space. As you can imagine, the amount of maintenance required for this kind of a portfolio is extensive, especially when you consider we are a community organization. One employee that helps keep up on this is Rick Eason. Rick has been with us for 10 years and is a carpentry instructor. In addition to the many repairs and maintenance duties Rick performs, he also trains participants in a 12-week trades training program, teaching them skills that will help them in a job in the private market. You've all heard similar examples from other areas of the organization, and Rick is an example of how every team at Stella Circle truly makes a difference in participants' lives. Rick is one of only a handful of staff at Property and Development, and this high-performing team achieves a lot on the job. In our strategic plan, we note that we hope to increase our housing to 100 units. One highlight this past year was the beginning of a new property on Cabot Street, which will add 6 units of housing to our portfolio. These units are scheduled to be occupied by year end. Here you see a couple of early pictures of construction. Stay tuned on our website and our social media for the finished product. I'll now hand it over to Melanie Walker, Director of Corporate Services, who will talk about administration and finance. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie, and I work here at Stella Circle's admin office on Military Road, overseeing our corporate services team. Our staff here at admin provide administrative support for programs and sites across the organization, including finance, human resources, IT, marketing, donor relations, and any other administrative matters that may come up. One team member who really makes an impact is Kimberly Hebb, our HR specialist. Kimberly's worked with us for almost 11 years now, and she's responsible for all human resource functions for a staff of over 120 people. This includes payroll and benefits and recruitment for the entire organization. She's the first point of contact for new hires at Stella Circle and has played a key role in shaping our staff teams in her time with the organization. Thanks, Kimberly, for your continued dedication and all of your hard work. Next up, we'll touch on the financial reports. Summary financial statements are available at the end of the annual report, which is available on our website, stellacircle.ca. The complete audited statements are also available. They're available on our website, or you can also call our admin office and we'd be happy to send you a copy. Both Stella Circle Community Services and Stella Circle Foundation continue to be in good financial shape for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2022. Stella Circle Community Services shows assets of $13.8 million with liabilities of $12.2 million, resulting in net assets of $1.5 million. The statement of revenue and expenditures for Stella Circle Community Services is found on page 21 of the annual report and shows the revenue and expenditure breakdown by program area. Overall, Stella Circle Community Services ended the year with a surplus of $58,133, which has been transferred to our maintenance reserve fund. In addition to community services, we also provide statements for Stella Circle Foundation. The foundation is responsible for raising money to support the work of the organization, and foundation statements can be found on page 22 of the annual report. For the foundation, the statement of revenue and expenditures shows recognized revenue of almost $377,000 in the fiscal year ended March 31st, an increase of about 25% over the prior year. On the expenditure side, $351,000 was allocated to Stella Circle Community Services for programs and services. The remaining foundation expenditures are related to operational and fundraising costs, which comprise less than 7% of foundation revenue for the year. As we officially close out fiscal year 2022, I'd like to send a big thank you to our entire team here at the admin office. They're a small team of people who do a whole lot of great work. I'd also like to thank our Finance and Audit Committee and our board members for their continued support and guidance throughout the year. Thank you so much. I'll now pass things back to Laura.
Thank you, Karen and Melanie. The work that happens in property and development and with admin really is the foundation for all of the frontline work that happens across the organization. And I can say we have small but mighty teams in those areas, and we're so grateful for their work. I'll now invite the chair of our Stella Circle Board of Directors of our governance board, Jasper Gill, to say some words on behalf of both board chairs. So we have two boards at Stella Circle, one for governance of the organization, which Jasper leads, and the other specifically for the Stella Circle Foundation, which informs fund development and donations. So thank you for joining us, Jasper.
Oh, thank you, Laura. It's my pleasure to share a few words today. I just want to say, first of all, how wonderful it is to hear from all of the team members and the remarkable jobs that they're doing. And to say that on behalf of the boards, we are so proud to have you as our new CEO, and also just want to say that you and our outgoing CEO, Lisa Brown, have provided us with such a smooth transition, and we're really looking forward to the work ahead. Our last operating year was one of continued flux, coinciding with the second full year of the COVID-19 pandemic. While not demanding the same levels of rapid change in the face of complete uncertainty, the 2021-2022 operating year challenged us to understand, modify, and in some cases celebrate the changes we made and plan to make to our operations. Certainly much of the work we do still requires an in-person scope. However, shifting health protocols still need us to strike a balance between service provision and staff and participant health and safety. Virtual operations were embraced and welcomed by those who required immediate need or had physical barriers, but presented a challenge for others who did not have a reliable internet connection or enabled device. Our core funding has been sustained, but worsening economic factors are seeing participants and staff negatively affected by the need to stretch every dollar even further. As we make operational and financial decisions to guide the organization, we've been incredibly fortunate to maintain strong relationships with our government and partners and continue to receive public support, which has been so much appreciated, and have a strengthened, informed employee base to take care of participant needs and educate us on the day-to-day needs we work to provide. As we persist, we pledge to listen to the many voices that are affected by our work and strive to center their lived expertise in our path forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jasper. We know people join our board because they care for people and they have a passion for social justice. So thank you to all of our members, and we appreciate your service. I'd now like to take the time to welcome some incoming board members and also recognize some outgoing members for their service to the organization. So I'll start with our new members. I'm very pleased and excited to welcome Leslie Brown, Andrea Sharino, Ian Froud, Jennifer Parsons, Stephen Penny, and Stephen Thorne to our board. And we're really looking forward to getting to know you all, and we appreciate the unique perspectives that you're all bringing to the organization. Next, I want to take the time to thank our outgoing board members. Nina Abundo, Joe McKenna, and Donna Stone have all completed their tenure with the governance board, and they've certainly all made really impactful contributions to the organization, and I certainly appreciate the support they've all individually provided me in coming into the role. Also leaving his role with the board is Stefan Yepchek. Stefan is like furniture in this organization. He has been here for 18 years, which is just amazing. And so we're not quite ready to let him go. So he'll no longer be a voting member of the board, but he has been bestowed the title of member emeritus. So he will sit for 4 years in an honorary capacity. And we're so grateful to have his knowledge and expertise and to be able to have him continue to be connected to this organization, which I know is a huge piece of his heart. And with thanks to him for accepting this special role. So I'd next like to pass on a personal thank you to our former CEO, Lisa Brown. Lisa served as CEO for 6 years, and during that time, she introduced many operational, foundational, and administrative functions that have seen Stella Circle grow to a more fulsome, robust organization. And to this day, Lisa continues to champion our work. She shares our victories to her network. She participates in events, and we see her grabbing a picture with any staff and volunteers she sees in her travels. So we know this place is still close to her heart. And on a personal note, I'm very appreciative of the foundation that Lisa has made for me to continue to advocate for social justice for community members. I also want to thank Bev Clark, who stepped in to lead the organization as interim CEO during the process to find a replacement. She did a fabulous job of managing operations for 6 months to leave me in a great position to get started in this role in January. And of course, I can't speak of the wonderful women who've led this organization without acknowledging Jocelyn Green, the original matriarch of Stella Circle. And so special thanks to her for reaching out to provide me with education on the history of the organization as I've transitioned into this CEO position. I'd now like to take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate a longstanding volunteer and close friend of Stella's Circle. Helen Murphy, who led the Stella Circle Inclusion Choir for 15 years, passed away in June of this year. Helen was known for her ability to find music in everyone and everything, working with participants in the choir to not only find their note, but find their voice. Helen's impact was recognized outside of the choir as well. She was an amazing woman, having received the Order of Newfoundland and Labrador, the Building Healthy Communities Volunteer Award, the YWCA Women of Distinction Award, and she also led the choir in receiving a Music NL Award. So I know so many of our staff, participants, and friends miss Helen dearly. We've all been fortunate to feel the community, art, and love she instilled in each and every person she met. So I'd like to end our AGM by sending gratitude to the over 1,000 participants who accessed the services of Stella Circle in 2021 to 2022. We know that the challenges in your lives have increased these past few years, as the pandemic compounded the marginalization and oppression experienced across the community. We respect your courage in seeking support, and we thank you for trusting us to be the ones to provide it. I'd also like to offer a final deep note of thanks and respect to our staff for offering so much of yourselves to all of this work. And so we're going to close the meeting today by sharing a video that the choir created. This was made before Helen's passing, and she leads the group in a special rendition of one of her favorite songs, Give Peace a Chance.
Here we go.
Everybody's talking about it. COVID,
Conflict, climate change,
mental health, media, fast growing,
resiliency, economy.
community.
All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Everybody's talking about it.
Freedom, food banks, online, education,
isolation,
transportation,
Discrimination.
United Nations.
All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Everybody's talking about it. Human rights, housing,
Healthcare.
hold fast,
Snowmageddon. Protesting. Distancing.
pivoting, helping.
All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Everybody's talking about it.
vaccines,
World peace,
new friends,
giving back, Dr. Janet, reconnecting,
advocating,
Stella Circle.
Oh!